Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate everybody who has subscribed and continues to follow this Liam Payne case with me. All I could think about truly, and I know that I'm not the only one who feels this way, right? Is we just want justice. I know that there's a lot of creators here on YouTube who are asking for the same, who are asking for clarity, who are not buying the story that's been put out there. And it's crazy because I get the comments that say, "Well, why do you keep talking about this?" I feel inclined to talk about this because I feel like something's not right about this story. It just isn't. There's something about the way in which the information has been put out there. First of all, it was put out there that Liam Payne had all sorts of drugs in his system. And we know that that's not, pink cocaine and whatever they had said initially was incorrect. They never did anything to clarify that information. TMZ does what TMZ does and puts pictures of Liam Payne's body and then doesn't really sit back and kind of analyze what they've done because they're a whole corporation, a machine. That TMZ, that's what they do, right? They want to get to the punch, and it makes you wonder. Like I started wondering about this when TMZ released those pictures of Liam Payne on the floor, okay, on the ground. Who took those pictures? Whose initial reaction was to, let me take those pictures right away? Like who thought of that? When TMZ broke the news of Liam's death, they purchased those pictures from someone, right? Somebody knew who Liam was at the time that Liam's body was on the ground, right? They got their phone out and they said, "Let me sell these pictures to TMZ." It's the same thing with the footage at the hotel. Somebody sold that footage to TMZ. Was it the hotel? So immediately, one of the biggest red flags that I said was whoever took those pictures knew who Liam Payne was, knew that they could get money off of that, and that's what they did, right? And it's crazy that that was their initial reaction, right? To take pictures of Liam Payne's body there instead of really thinking about, well, damn, like, what is this going to look like when it's unleashed to the world, right? You had that was just so disturbing. And then I think about just this push to say that Liam Payne is a drug addict and he's a drug user. And even that push kind of got to me because I said, well, when people were saying that he had, offed himself, I didn't believe it. I said, wait a minute. Just because he's using drugs doesn't mean that he wanted to off himself. I mean, the man had a child. He had something to live for. He might have had some struggles, as many of us do, but he had something going for himself. He didn't just say, "All right, I'm done with life." And I still don't believe half of what's been put out there. I question why so much information, like especially with TMZ, right? Because TMZ had to pay for that footage with Palermo, the one with Ezequiel Paiz, one of the accusers. Why is his face blurred? Why, when the story broke, did they say that there was no footage? And here we're finding a lot of footage. What is it about the way in which people are approaching this situation that they're trying to make it seem like this young man literally was completely out of sorts with his life? And even if that's the case, he still didn't deserve what happened to him, right? Like he didn't deserve to die. There's more information coming about Braian Paiz, and it was revealed in another article that was released, I believe, today. The Daily Mail looked into Braian Paiz. So I guess one of the waiters that worked at the restaurant with Braian Paiz decided to speak to the Mail, and of course they're anonymous, and they basically said that Braian was a good friend of his, that he was a cool guy, and he stayed at his home many times, but he had problems with cocaine. So Braian Paiz had problems with drugs. And he says, and now he's turned his phone off. No one working here has been able to contact him. So again, Braian Paiz as well as Ezequiel are accused of bringing substances to Liam Payne, right? My thing is, though, and I know that I've harped on this before, you guys, is that it's been said that the reason why Liam Payne stayed at Casa Sur Palermo is because his friend Rogelio Nores basically had him stay there. Okay. Like he knew the place, he knew where to, have him stay. Right. It's interesting because the more you look into Rogelio Nores, tending to some of the Liam Payne things, he's supposed to help him with his music. He's helping him throughout the country. And then I was sitting there and I was thinking, and I know I've said this before, I said, if I'm visiting a different country, I'm not fucking staying at a hotel. Like if I'm going to the UK, which I've never been to the UK, I want to see who I have friend wise that I can stay with because I don't know the UK, and especially if you're a celebrity, you have this like target on your back. But you know what was so crazy is that in order for Liam Payne to have received a visa, the visa specifically, what is it, the O1 or the OI, I think that's what you call it, he would have had to have been clean at some point, right? If you believe that Liam Payne suddenly started using drugs all of a sudden, right? He would have to have been remaining clean at some point before his travel at the very least, right? So then what happened exactly that made him fall, what triggered him? And then you have his girlfriend at the time, Kate Cassidy, that basically part of me is like, you can't blame Kate Cassidy for setting up boundaries, if that makes sense. And I don't think I've even discussed Kate Cassidy to that extent. So this is going to be probably a video where I'm just kind of like thinking out loud, y'all. I'm totally not scripted, right? You can't blame Kate Cassidy to a certain degree. But at the same time, she was well aware that he was having issues. Matter of fact, if you believe the time frame that's being put out there by the accuser, Braian Paiz, and witnesses that it sounds like Braian had an issue with cocaine, then Kate Cassidy would at the very least have known that he would have been supplied with something while he was in Argentina, right? I think that when it comes to her, there's not a lot that I could just, because she hasn't said a whole lot, and everything that's been put out there has been through other sources, not her directly. But I feel like she also holds a key to what happened in Argentina. You know what I mean? Like she holds something to what happened. And what do you do in a situation like that? If we're going to look at Rogelio Nores as somebody who's like, for abandonment and the charges and all these other people, um, she got to leave. But did she know that Liam Payne was also using? And if that's the case, what role did she play in that situation? And that's a hard pill to swallow because let me tell you, I cannot channel, I cannot speak for Kate Cassidy, but I have a feeling that she's holding on to more than what has already been put out there. And not to put blame on her, but truly, I don't know what it is. It just seems like she's holding on to something. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Okay. And then there's like this defamation that's happening. Liam Payne can't defend himself. You have the ex-girlfriend that's saying all kinds of things too. And like, not to take away from her story because I don't know what that relationship looked like, but why bring to light all this shit right now, right? About what Liam Payne did or didn't do. It's kind of like this. It's like he can't defend himself. Some of you guys were upset when Braian Paiz was saying what he was saying, being, quote unquote, intimate or whatever that was. And you guys were dragging him, but also these other people, like the ex girlfriend, Amaya, she's also got like a story to tell. And we don't know what that is, but why are we talking about that right now? Like, what are we doing? But I don't know. Maybe I'm off for feeling that way. Anyways, the Daily Mail is talking to Braian Paiz's colleague. So apparently, one colleague said that he had an issue with cocaine, and that Braian used to drink at the Hard Rock Cafe after his shifts. They basically said that Braian is an extrovert, smiley, and rarely alone. One thing that I noticed about Braian Paiz is that he's into like film, theater, he's into the arts, which maybe he felt like Liam could have helped him one way or another, and that's just me assuming. He basically had to go on Instagram and, make sure that he let everybody know that he never had sex with anybody. And then he deleted that message, but then, he put that intimate part. And of course, people are like, well, what the hell do you mean by that? Because you don't just put that out there, but he did, right? A lot of us are waiting for news. And one thing that I really appreciate here on YouTube, as I'm watching various creators talk about this, like Sebastian Soto. Shout out to Sebastian Soto. I've been following him. He did an interview with Sloan. I think it was like a year and a half ago. Love Sebastian Soto because I love his J Lo coverage. I think we see each other in a lot of what he says. But I think one thing, just noticing how everybody's even like passionate about this topic, is we all just want one thing, right? Like we want there to be justice for Liam. And we want to make sure that there is transparency in this investigation, because it seems to me that there isn't. And this isn't on like some conspiracy theory shit. This is truly on like, this doesn't make sense, and it's not as black and white as people want to put it out. And that's the piece. This is why I'm like, let me do a video where I talk about all of these characters and what's been put out there. All of these characters, to me, and Casa Sur Palermo, I hope that through this they are tainted. And let me explain to you why. Because they're just trying to cover their asses. I don't believe that there's one honest person in that situation. I believe that whoever has the Rolex, of course, is the person that holds, the key to what happened. I also feel like everybody in that hotel played a part between the guests. Yes, I said the guests, witnesses, people in the lobby, the employees all over. But this is a whole different country, right? Like, what control do we have? Things are a little bit different. I don't know. And part of me, you guys, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but Rogelio Norris is very protected. Okay. He just is. It wouldn't surprise me if something else happens there. But we're going to wait to see what the DA says. We want justice. That's what we want, right? Hashtag justice for Liam Payne. That's what we want. And I think, honestly, it's amazing to see everybody, creator wise, feel that way and stand for that. And I think it's great. I love it. So you guys, make sure you check out all the creators that are talking about Liam Payne. Shout out to you guys. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. I just had to give some thoughts about what I was thinking, and then Brian's witness, friend, whatever, from the restaurant. I don't know. I'll see you guys on the next one.